Hello! In this video I want to tell you all about Legends of Runeterra and why I'm excited about it. Legends of Runeterra is a digital card game being created by Riot Games, the creators of League of Legends. It features champions and regions from that game universe. Legends of Runeterra will be entirely free to play with monetized cosmetic microtransactions for those of us who like to spice up and customize the way everything looks on our screen. The game's coming to PC and it'll be coming to mobile later in 2020. As I mentioned before, Legends of Runeterra is a digital card game. If you're familiar with other digital card games such as Magic the Gathering Arena or Hearthstone, then you're going to be on pretty good footing for understanding what's going on with this game. If you haven't played any of those games before though, I'm going to try to lay out some of the reasons you might be interested in trying out the game in this video. In Legends of Runeterra, you do battle against your opponents with a deck of cards that you have crafted and put together. Within each of these decks, you have 3 different types of cards available to you. The first card type is the champion card. Champions are units that are played out onto the board. They have an attack value and a health value, but they have a unique mechanic where they level up after you meet certain conditions during the game. This allows them to become more powerful and have a greater impact on the game. These champion cards are represented by actual champions from League of Legends. The next type of card that you have access to is the follower card. Followers are the units that you put down on your board to deal battle with, but unlike champions, they don't level up or anything like that. They're just units that go out on the board and oftentimes have special effects. The final type of card that you can use are spell cards. Spell cards are not units that go out onto the battlefield, but they are cards that are played in order to influence everything else that's going on. You may cast a spell in order to give a unit more attack power or more health, or to destroy an enemy unit, or to draw an extra card. When you're building a deck, you can have up to 3 copies of each card in your deck, including champions. By combining all these cards together, you can create a deck that's unique to you and then take that into battle. Speaking of battle, games in Legends of Runeterra play out a little bit differently than they do in other card games. Each game of Legends of Runeterra is played out through a series of rounds. At the start of a round, one player is given an attack token. This means that this player is on the offensive and can decide when to perform an attack action, while the other player is on the defensive side and can choose what units are going to block in that attacking action. During each round, players take turns performing one action each, and they go back and forth until both players decide to pass. After both players pass their turns consecutively, the round ends, the next round begins, and the person who was on the defensive side gets the attack token and becomes the aggressor. In order to win a game of Legends of Runeterra, you need to reduce the health of your opponent's nexus to 0. You can think of this as their main HP pool. The main way that you deal damage to the opponent's nexus is by having your units attack with no blockers in their way. If a unit attacks and there are no blockers, then any damage that it would normally deal to a unit that was blocking is dealt to the nexus instead. There are all kinds of other ways to manipulate the game and to deal damage to the nexus, but we'll get into those in some more in-depth videos later on. So now we're here at the first reason that I am really excited about Legends of Runeterra, and that is the actual gameplay. I think that Legends of Runeterra has a really unique but familiar system that a lot of card game players are going to be able to instantly understand and quickly adapt to, but it's also friendly enough for new players to jump in and get the hang of really quickly. Now, there's a couple of things that I like here. So the first thing that I like is something that I think is very important in any card game, and that is the idea of defender chooses. This is something that Hearthstone does not do and Magic the Gathering does do. In Hearthstone, you put your units onto the board and the attacker chooses what they want to hit. In Magic the Gathering, you put your units onto the board, and when the attacker attacks, you choose what you want to block with what. Now, the reason that I like defender chooses options better than attacker chooses options is because many times your deck might have a strategy that relies on you keeping certain units safe. And if you're in a situation where the attacker always gets to choose what units it wants to attack, they can quickly destroy the synergies and the things that you're trying to build up in order to get your deck to work. Sometimes it's worth taking a little bit of damage in order to be able to keep a key unit alive so that a little bit later in the game, you can really get things going and you can actually pull off your strategy. This is huge to me, and I think it has a real impact on the fun of the game and your ability to craft interesting decks. The next aspect that I like is the back and forth gameplay. I like how both players can stay engaged, because when you're going through a round, it's not, hey, it's my turn, I'm going to do all the things that I want to do, and then it's your turn. It's, hey, I'm going to do an action, then you're going to do an action, then I'm going to do one, then you're going to do one, and there's a constant back and forth, which causes your strategies to constantly evolve throughout the game, and I find that really interesting. For the launch of the Legends of Runeterra open beta, there are going to be two primary game modes that you can play. You can play the traditional game where you craft a deck and you bring it into the queue and you play against opponents that you randomly match up against. The second way that you can play is through expeditions. Expeditions are the Legends of Runeterra versions of drafts. Drafts are a limited card game format, and if all that was overwhelming to you, basically just look at it this way. If you are playing a card game and you're able to look at all the cards in your collection and choose from any of them to create the deck that you want to create, then you're looking at a standard format where basically there are no limitations on what you can do. If you have the card, you can put it in your deck. On the other hand, if you think about a situation where you are just given some random cards and you have to make do with them, you can't pull from your collection. You basically just go in and they say, hey, here's 40 cards, do your best. That is a limited format. It means there's some sort of limitation on how you can build your deck. So in this draft mode, this expeditions mode of the game, you're going to be able to draft an initial set of cards by choosing from these different little packs of cards to put together a deck. And so you're not looking at your entire library and choosing all the best cards. You're looking at, hey, these are my options. What's the best that I can do with this? And then you're trying to take that deck and play against other players who did the same thing and see how well you can do. This is another reason I'm really excited about Legends of Runeterra, and that's because we're already coming out of the gate with a nice limited format. Now, I think that the standard version of Legends of Runeterra looks fantastic, and I'm really excited to play it, but I always end up in these limited formats for any digital card game that I play, because I really like the challenge of taking what's given to me, making the best of it, and seeing how well I can do. It's also sometimes a really good leveler in terms of someone who has a large collection versus someone who doesn't, because you don't use your collection in these game modes, so you, just like anyone else, have to take what's given to you, make the best of it, and you can't pull from those outside resources to have an advantage over someone else. Another reason that I'm excited about Legends of Runeterra is because it's being created by Riot Games. Riot Games is the creator of League of Legends, and they have supported this game for over 10 years now. I was a big fan of League of Legends for 6 or 7 years, and I still go back and play the game at times and keep up with new champions and patches and features. For me, Riot has a proven track record of continually putting out content and iterating on their games. So unlike some other card games that have come out from kind of random indie developers that we don't know anything about, and we're not sure how the support is going to be, how long it's going to last, what the pacing is going to be like, I'm confident that Riot Games is going to be able to constantly release content for the game, keep it updated, work to patch it, and make it an actual competitive, viable game that we can all enjoy for many years to come. Now, I mentioned that Legends of Runeterra is set in the universe of League of Legends. This is really exciting for me because I've always liked the League of Legends universe and the champions and the lore behind them, and I'm really excited to get the opportunity to make some videos and talk about these different characters and the different backgrounds and the different regions in the game. And regions bring us to something else that is pretty unique to Legends of Runeterra, and that is the progression system. In Legends of Runeterra, when you're building decks, you're not combining colors like you would in Magic the Gathering. You're not choosing a class like you would in Hearthstone. You're actually picking different regions of the world that you want to combine together in a deck to create something unique. Within each deck, you can choose up to 2 different regions to combine. During the initial launch of the game, the regions available are going to be the Shadow Isles, Ionia, Piltover and Zaun, Demacia, Noxus, and the Freljord. Now, all these regions are really interesting, and I'm looking forward to being able to dive into these and talk about them in future videos, but let's talk about the progression system. As you're playing games in Legends of Runeterra, you're going to be earning experience points, and these experience points are going to go into different regional tracks. So when you start the game, you're going to pick a region that you want to level up. So let's say that you pick Ionia as your region that you want to level up. Every time you get experience in games with that region selected, it's going to fill up the XP bar for that region, and as you level up that region, you're going to get new card rewards for that specific region. So this is a great way to tailor your rewards. So unlike in other digital card games where you may level up and get a card pack that's just going to have random cards from any different color or any different class, depending on whether you're playing Magic or Hearthstone, in this one you can say, hey, I really like the Ionia faction. That's what I want to earn cards for. And you can pick that track and you can dedicate your XP towards unlocking more cards for that region. I think this is a really awesome way to tailor progression to make sure that you get the cards that you want. I think this would be a really cool progression system to have in other card games. Imagine if in Hearthstone you could pick a track and say, hey, I want to pick the Hunter track, and when I earn XP for playing games, now I know that I'm leveling up this Hunter track and I'm going to get more Hunter cards. And because that's the class that I like to play the most, I know I'm going to be able to get some sweet cards for it. Or if you're in Magic the Gathering and you're like, hey, you know, my favorite color to play is black, I'm going to pick this track for black cards, and then as I level up and gain XP, I'm going to level up that track and it's going to give me more black cards to put into my deck. That's really cool, and that's essentially what they're doing in Legends of Runeterra. Is they're saying, hey, pick your favorite thing, and as you play, you're going to earn rewards for that. And that's really cool. That's really awesome. And it's one of many different progression systems. The other main system of progression that they have is the weekly vault. So as you're playing games and you're leveling up your regional track, that XP is also getting put into your weekly vault. And basically, the more games you play, the higher level your vault will get to. And at the end of the week, you'll be able to unlock the vault and get a big pinata explosion of different loot. So here's the big thing about Legends of Runeterra. You don't earn cards for your collection by purchasing random packs like you do in every other card game. That's right, there are no RNG packs available for purchase in Legends of Runeterra. So you may ask yourself, well, how do I get cards? Well, we already talked about how you get the cards from your region tracks, and we talked about how there's a big explosion of loot at the end of the week after you've opened your weekly vault. So let's talk about what's actually in those vaults and some of the other items that you can get for progression. So there are basically 4 ways that you can acquire cards in the game. The first thing that you can get are capsules, and capsules are basically packs of cards. Now, I know I just said there aren't any card packs available for purchase in the game, and that's true. You don't purchase these capsules. You get them as a bonus, and they still explode into random cards and give you that fun, ooh, look what I got moment. And that's really cool that you get to do that, but you don't purchase those in the store. You don't have to purchase those in the store, and you don't even need those in order to improve your collection. They're just there as kind of like a fun addition to make sure that you don't lose that moment of like, ooh, look what I got out of this pack. The next type of item that you can get cards from is called a chest, and a chest is a big version of a capsule, essentially. It's like a giant capsule that can contain capsules and everything that a capsule can have inside of it. The next type of reward that you can get are wild cards. Now, wild cards are associated with the different rarities for the different cards. There are 4 rarities: common, rare, epic, and champion level rarities. And basically, when you get a wild card, you're able to exchange it 1 for 1 for any card that's available in the card pool that you don't already have 3 copies of. So by getting these wild cards, you know you can get exactly the card that you would want to get at that rarity. And then finally, the last form of currency that you can get are shards. Shards are like dust in Hearthstone, where you basically exchange a certain amount of dust for whatever card you want to create. So they're kind of like a wild card that you earn over time in a sense, and you can choose the rarity of the card. So let's say that I'm giving a rare wild card. Well, I have to trade that in for a rare card. I can't trade it in for a common card. I can't trade it in for an epic or a champion card. It has to go for that rare. The nice part about that is that one wild card exchanges directly for one card. It's a 1-for-1. In the case of shards, you're not going to earn enough shards to exchange for one card in one single action. It might take doing multiple daily quests or opening different capsules and chests to earn enough shards to exchange for a card. But the nice thing is that let's say you got 15 rare wild cards in a row and you really want this one epic card. Well, the shards just build up and then you exchange them for whatever card you want with no limits on how that exchanges for rarity. So if you want to save up for a particular champion card that you want to get, you can do that. If you just want to cash in on a couple of common cards to flesh out your deck and make it a little better, you can do that as well. So through these 4 different forms of items that you can get, this is how you get rewarded and build up your library. So you have your capsules, your chest, your wild cards, and your shards. Now let's talk about what actually goes into the shop, right? So in the shop, they're going to have a lot of different cosmetic items, different types of boards, different types of little pets that are on the board, all different ways to customize the look and feel of your game. They're also going to offer wild cards for purchase. So there is a way to purchase some cards if you want to spend money to do so, but you're not buying random packs, and the amount of wild cards you can purchase at each rarity slot is limited on a weekly basis. So you can't just take thousands of dollars and dump them into buying all of the cards day one that you start playing. There's a certain allotment of how many of each type of rarity you can buy on a weekly basis, and then you have to wait until the next week to buy those wild cards again. So this allows people who want to spend money to improve their collection, but it also kind of keeps them from getting way too far ahead of the people who are playing entirely free to play. For this reason, I think that Legends of Runeterra is the card game to get into if you've never played one before, and it's also going to be a great card game for card game veterans. If you've never played a card game before, there are so many good ways to earn cards for free and expand your library that you can test the waters, try and see if you like the game without having to spend any money on it and feel like that's the only way you can be competitive. If you are a card game veteran, then you can jump in, and we already know we're going to grind it out, we're going to do the quest, we're going to earn everything that we possibly can every week, and we're going to get our collections stacked ASAP. But the nice thing is we also don't have to spend a bunch of money to do that, and we also don't have to worry so much about the RNG of opening random packs over and over and over again. And the thing that I like about that is I'm someone who will spend money on a game that I enjoy, but I would much rather spend that money on the look and feel of my game and customizing things the way that I like so that I can be immersed when I play, than spending that money just to feel like I can actually play the game in the first place. So these are all the different reasons that I am super excited about Legends of Runeterra. It's a basic overview of the game. I didn't want to get too in-depth here because I figured those of you who are hardcore card game fans probably already have this on your radar and might just need a little bit of convincing to check it out. And those of you who haven't played a lot of card games probably don't want to get bogged down in all the details. I really, truly am excited about this game. I'm excited about making content for it. Card games are my favorite genre of game to play, and so this is a big, huge deal for me, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this experience with you, and I hope that many of you will pick up the game and at least try it out and let me know what you think. Also, when I mentioned wanting to talk about the lore, I wasn't kidding. I actually already have the League of Legends Realms of Runeterra companion guide. This is a pretty sweet book with all kinds of super cool artwork, and I'm looking forward to going through this book with you and also talking about the different champions and the different regions. So that's going to be really, really exciting. Check the link in the description below to register and download Legends of Runeterra. Also, if you enjoyed this video and you want to support the channel, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/Setsuko, which you can find a link for in the description as well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you enjoyed it. I hope you're having fun in whatever it is that you're doing, and as always, I'll see you on the next video.